Good afternoon, Rowing Recruiting 101, and this is one of our first courses in the Rowing Recruiting curriculum. I know there's a couple of you signed up, but it doesn't look like you're in class live today, so I'll go through all the material here this afternoon and email out the recording. If you have any follow-up questions after you get the chance to review it, please let me know. You'll definitely reach out so that we can make sure that you're squared away and everything is good and clear for you moving forward. But we'll kick off class here. It's about 20 minutes in length. And again, if anyone pops in, feel free to chat questions as we go through class. Otherwise, I'll email out this recording. To go over my background here, for all of you that don't already know, I am Coach Navarro, Sam Navarro, the head rowing recruiting coach for NCSA, and I work with all of our rowing families. My background is in rowing, and I have about 15 years of combined experience between rowing and coaching. I started rowing in high school and had a very successful high school career. We won championships at the regional and national level, and they have a very ranged recruiting experience. I recruited from coast to coast, Ivy League, Big Ten to Pac-10, and ended up competing for 4 years as a Division I scholarship athlete. After graduation, I started my coaching career. I had about 4 years under my belt, but then came to NCSA. I've been with NCSA now for about 4, going on 5 years. So again, I work with all of our rowing families. I know the recruiting process for rowing is quite different than a lot of other sports. And for those of you that are in this class here today, I'll be your main point of contact for rowing recruiting. Today, we're going to go over a little bit of just real fun facts of rowing. I'll skim through those quite quickly. You can take a read through on your own time. They're a little bit more fun when you guys are in class live. We can kind of talk about some of the fun facts, but we'll go over in detail men's and women's divisions. We'll talk about the standards by division level, as well as the recruiting timeline, recruiting rules, and then save time for questions and answers at the end. So facts, I'll let you read through these, but just to kind of go through a quick skim. Rowing is one of the oldest, or it is, in fact, the oldest intercollegiate sport in the United States. It's certainly not the most popular sport, certainly not one of the more well-known sports, but it is the oldest. And I think with that comes a lot of history. I also put down there some facts just about the boats, the shells themselves. I think it's really quite an amazing sport. And I think it's always an exciting time and opportunity when we start working with young student athletes that want to carry their passion and pursue this at the collegiate level. So men's rowing. You find that men's rowing teams classify themselves and identify as Division I, Division II, Division III, or club programs. However, is not sanctioned by the NCAA. So what does this mean for recruiting rules? Well, it's a bit confusing because most varsity status programs will still follow the NCAA rules for recruiting. The reason most universities will impose the NCAA rules or even stricter rules when recruiting student athletes. So they're not sanctioned by the NCAA. The majority of programs are still going to be required to follow those recruiting rules. What does that mean for scholarship opportunities? There are athletic scholarships for men's rowing from the NCAA. There are academic scholarships that you can get through the university directly. There are going to be grants and merit-based scholarships as well through the university. So you absolutely could earn a merit-based scholarship for representing your school in a varsity sport or being a part of a rowing program, but they're not athletic insofar as they come from the NCAA. This event then for Division I, II, and III schools is called IRAs. That will be your championship regatta if you're on a men's rowing program at the collegiate level. Club rowing is a little bit different, and we'll talk about that next. But the IRA events, you can see there's a wide range. You're going to have a varsity 8 event, a second varsity 8, a varsity 4, 3 lightweight categories, and freshman categories. This is different than women's rowing. So large exists there for IRA events. The IRA regatta is typically made up of Division I programs, but open to all division levels who qualify. And you qualify through 6 regattas across the country, across the year. That's how you're going to earn a spot or earn a seed for the IRA regatta. And does not typically at IRAs. The club rowing category has had the largest growth in collegiate rowing. In 2011, the number of men's varsity programs peaked at about 90 nationwide. Today, it's dipped down a little bit to 79 coast to coast. And between 1996 and 2016, when these numbers were reported, the number of programs did decrease, as we saw above, by about 36%, but the total number of athletes continues to grow. So what does that mean for men's rowing? It means that there are more and more participants, but over the last couple of years, from 96 to 2016, the total number of programs did dip down. So teams being composed of a larger number of recruits, larger squad, which is great for the depth of a program. In Quine, they're generally student-run and have a very significantly varying level of competitiveness, facilities, and equipment. So clubs are going to be as elite as varsity-ran programs. Are going to be far more casual. Varsity programs do compete alongside club programs in 4 out of those 6 qualifying regattas for IRA championships, but the championship event for club rowing is considered ACRA championships. IRAs wouldn't typically be your championship event. You're looking at ACAs as your championship event at the end of the spring. You have a lightweight and a heavyweight category. Lightweight, as its name denotes, places a limit on the maximum weight of competitors. Each athlete must be under 160 pounds. And heavyweight is not defined by weight. You can be a lightweight and row in a heavyweight program, or you can be a true heavyweight, you're closer to that 200-pound mark, but you don't have to be defined by a particular weight to row on a heavyweight program. Schools have smaller programs and might only field lightweight boats. There are teams and programs that are known for regularly hosting and regularly fielding lightweight events. You can find a full list in those Row 2A links. I was on the last page there, but you'll be able to copy and paste that link to see a full list of the lightweight programs. Standards across division level are pretty even. The reason being, a lot of level D3 programs are also top academic schools, very competitive standards. There are D3 programs that are as competitive as or faster than D1 or D2, and that's the same for women's teams as well. There's going to be, of course, the Division I programs that are by and far more competitive and more elite than Division II or III. So just in itself, a D1 program does not mean that it is highly selective, highly fast. Just as D3 does not mean that it's selective or less speed is at that school. But to receive top interest or be a top recruit for a Division I or II program, you're going to be looking at the 620s as your erg score range. The mid 50% will fall around 630, but it won't be uncommon for a coach to recruit 640s, 650s, depending on your physical attributes, because erg scores are a benchmark that college coaches look at. You can have a great erg score and not be able to move a boat, vice versa. At the III level, you're looking about 5 seconds off, so plus about 5 seconds for those middle 50% and the bottom range of the recruiting process. 640s is pretty typical for starting to initiate great interest from top programs, but the top recruits are going to be 620, 630, even at the lightweight level. The collegiate rowing for women expanded quite rapidly in '97 when it became an NCAA sport. Women's rowing is an NCAA sanctioned sport. In '97, when it became such, there were 98 Division I, II, and III teams across the country. As of 2016, that number nearly doubled. There are currently just shy of 150 women's rowing programs. In the 2015-2016 season, approximately 7,400 women participated in 146 D1, D2, and D3 programs. In the 146, 32 programs ended their season at NCAA championships. So there's an NCAA championship event for D1 and D2. Women's varsity programs can absolutely look to Title IX as the foundation for its large growth. What Title IX did was it allowed for equal funding of men's and women's varsity sports, and it allowed for the growth of large women's programs like rowing. But it ensured that women would have equal opportunity as men in collegiate athletics, which was great for a big sport like women's rowing. On the women's side, you have a varsity and a novice program. You can click that link there to see the teams that have lightweight, open weight programs. NCAAs has far fewer events. You'll have a varsity, second varsity, and V4. So it's just a varsity status event. They're freshmen event at NCAAs. A freshman could compete, but they'd be a part of one of their varsity programs. Both. They also have the same categories, lightweight or open weight rowing. Lightweight rowers must be under 130 pounds, and open weight rowers, there's a limit or restriction to your weight class. When you're looking at recruiting opportunities for lightweight rowing, the majority of coaches are going to be pretty strict on that 130. Most coaches would like to recruit even sub 130 because they know that you're going to continue to get stronger, and with that, typically put on a little bit of muscle as you adjust and continue to grow and develop. And it's for your safety, and it's for the safety of their team as well. They want to ensure that who they are recruiting can easily, healthily, and reliably maintain that weight. So if you're 135, 140, and trying to pull, more towards the lightweight side of things, I'm definitely encourage you to focus and really see what your natural weight is. We talk about this one-on-one, but coaches are really going to be looking for those true lightweights when they start recruiting at the collegiate level. For Division 2 and 3, top recruits are going to fall in about 715 for D1, D2. The middle 50% will be pulling ERG scores around 730. At the 3 level, you're going to be looking closer to that 730, 740 for the middle 50%. Women, if you're going to be starting to gauge and capture the interest of lightweight coaches, you're going to have to be sub 8. I would say typically around 750 is going to be considered good, whereas those excellent recruits are going to be 735, plus or minus. How scholarship opportunities go vary program to program. Scholarship awards and standards do pretty significantly, but full ride opportunities will only go to the most elite athletes, and you can see those most elite standards there, ERG score-wise. Good thing, though, that coaches can offer scholarships as well. So scholarships might be based on kind of like a sliding scale. You might earn 50% if you fall, 730, and might earn, a full ride if you're 715 to 720. It varies from program to program, and as you start to generate interest from different coaches, that's absolutely something that we can start to ask and direct questions towards, so you can get a good sense of how scholarships are awarded and added from school to school and from year to year. Evaluate. They're going to hear ERG score. First and foremost, it's going to be the benchmark that college coaches evaluate. They're going to look at race results. Where are you racing and how are you placing? The results are going to be most important for major races. Scrimmages and local regattas typically don't generate much interest, but any regional or national, that's definitely going to help you stand out. Colleges also look at physical attributes. These are going to be one of the most important qualities that college coaches evaluate. Many coaches are willing to develop potential for the right recruit, and that recruit is going to show athleticism, and they're going to have a height and a weight that college coaches think that they can develop and coach into the speed that they're looking for. The majority of college programs are high academic schools, so you're looking at high admission standards. Typically, I would say on average that's 3.5 GA range, 24 or higher on the ACT. It's going to be what college coaches need. You start to look towards the Ivy Leagues, of course, those numbers are just going to go up and up and up. The selective schools, they have even more selective admission requirements, and as a recruit, you're going to have to be able to meet admission standards. So underclassmen, what you can be focusing on now is developing a strong foundation for your academic background. Colleges are going to need to know that first and foremost you can meet their school's admission standards, and that's going to be important come the time around your senior year when you start to look at visits and official visits in the application process. Coaches will be able to invite you out if you're unlikely to meet those standards through admissions, so definitely put a high focus on your grades. It's a really great tool. Some coaches weigh it significantly, whereas others don't put emphasis on it, but it's a really good way to help show how you apply your power to the water or to the ERG, especially if you have some of those huge ERG scores. Coaches are going to see your technique. How do you generate that speed on the ERG? Likewise, if you're maybe a smaller athlete, but you move a boat really well, get video so coaches can see that. They'll all get references from coaches. This is going to be a really standout way, and it's going to be very important throughout the recruiting process. References from coaches are going to be that first-hand inside peek to what kind of a teammate and athlete you are, especially for coxswains. Coxswains work very closely with their high school and club coaches. College coaches are going to be very interested in speaking with your coach. Really a good way for coaches to evaluate you. They're not necessary. You don't have to go to a camp to be recruited by a school, but it can be a good way to connect with the sport, particularly lower your ERG score depending on the type of camp And if you go to a college campus, it's a great way to see campus and tour facilities. So camps are a good tool throughout the recruiting process, but the best ones, what's going to be most advantageous for you, is going to kind of uniquely depend on your recruiting situation. So what is it? There's a recruiting checklist for freshmen and sophomores there. But during underclassmen year, focus on developing a base knowledge of the NCAA recruiting rules and rowing. Start learning the sport and learn it well. Read college and start looking up what they're looking for academically, what GPA, what test score range, so you can have that as a framework for training. What kind of athletes are on their roster? What kind of height, weight, region do you see as typical for those rosters? You may start out and submitting recruiting questionnaires. I definitely encourage you to do this. And you write to a school to introduce yourself, letting them know that you're interested and that you had submitted that questionnaire. But for Division I and II schools, you're going to have restrictions on how and when they can reply. Visit one school early on, maybe something that's close to home so that you can tour campus and start to note things that maybe you like about a school or a campus and things that maybe you don't like. And then come junior year, continue to research those schools. Hopefully now we'll be developing rapport with coaches with enough direction for them to start really evaluating your rowing and your ability to meet their admission criteria. Visit schools and plan to take the ACT or SAT for the first time. Hopefully soon enough in your junior year that you leave yourself plenty of time to retest if necessary. You'll have your top 5 schools, plus or minus, that you're going to apply to early in the fall. I recommend planning to apply early because coaches typically have the greatest impact during the early action process. You can develop a plan for early action or early decision with your parents and counselors. We can talk over. Make sure that you have prepared your teacher and counselor references, both the early applications and the possibility of regular decisions January if need be. If you the ACT or SAT again, you'll take the SAT 2 if needed, depending on the type of school that you're applying to, and have those scores reported to all schools. November 1st, you'll plan to submit your early application. Before turning in any application, it's always a good idea to check with the coach if they can flag or tag your application before you turn it into admissions. Then we'll prep you for early signing period, which is in November. If you're ready to sign in November, that's absolutely okay. Some athletes begin recruiting senior year and still have time to develop just by spring for April signing period. Here's one CAA recruiting rules. The big ones that stand out here is email you, electronic correspondence, September 1st of your junior year. September 1st is going to be a big date. If you're reading phone calls, it's a really good way to gauge and good sense for if you are on a recruiting list. September 1st is that big date for D1 schools. At the big level, June 15th after sophomore year is that big date. That's when we'll be able to start receiving emails from college coaches. 3 is far more open. You can send any material at any time to a coach, and a coach can email you at any time. You can also make official visits January 1st of junior year at the Division III level. So for you that are looking at D3 schools, it provides a much sooner timeline for starting to talk with college coaches. The next, what you will sign if you are on the women's side of things, that will be for Division I and Division II schools only. The early signing period is in November and lasts 7 days. And after those 7 days, the signing period closes, and you don't have the opportunity to sign again. You don't have the opportunity to sign the National Letter of Intent until the second Wednesday in April, when the regular signing period opens. That lasts all the way through August 1st, and that's going to be when you're able to make your commitment to a college. Wrap up our Rowing Recruiting 101, a pretty quick synopsis right at 20 minutes here of the rowing recruiting process. If you have any follow-up questions, please follow up with me so that we can address those. I know, again, this is a class that you guys were going to see the recording of. So take a listen through. Let me know what takeaways you had, what follow-up questions you have. I'll be happy to answer those out for you from there. Thanks for signing up, and I will talk to you soon.